Welcome. Let's begin our foundational look at international relations. Today, we're not going to just define IR through abstract theories. We're going to explore its very nature, its scope, through a lens that matters most to us, our own reality, right here in Pakistan.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start with the basics, the meaning of IR. Then, we'll discuss the fundamental structure of the world we live in. We'll identify the key players and what's at stake. And most importantly, we will connect all of this back to us. Because you must understand, for a country like Pakistan, this subject isn't just academic. It is a matter of national survival and progress.
Just look at this map. It really says it all, doesn't it? Our geostrategic location places us, quite literally, at the center of global interests and rivalries. So when you read headlines about CPEC or about ongoing tensions with India or the competition between the US and China, that isn't just some distant academic exercise. That is our lived reality.
All right, so let's begin. What is this discipline of international relations truly about? Let's establish a shared vocabulary.
Well, at its most basic level, you can think of IR as the study of how states, including our own, deal with each other on the world stage. It covers the entire spectrum of those relationships, from peaceful cooperation in trade and diplomacy, all the way to violent conflict and war.
But it's actually much more profound than just simple interaction. The great scholar of classical realism, Hans Morgenthau, he taught us that IR is fundamentally about the pursuit of power. States, you see, are rational actors, and they use their power, whether it's economic, military, or diplomatic, to secure their own national interests.
Now let's build on that idea. To truly understand international relations, you have to grasp its fundamental operating system. There is one single condition that shapes everything else.
And that condition is anarchy. Now, I need you to be very, very careful with this term. It does not mean chaos. It doesn't mean disorder in the way we might use it in everyday language. In our field, it has a very precise and specific meaning.
And here is the crucial distinction. Anarchy in IR doesn't mean constant fighting and disorder. It simply means there is no global 911 to call. There's no world government, no world police force to enforce the rules. Every single state is sovereign. This means the international system is, by definition, a system of self-help.
Now, this anarchic structure, it creates a powerful and, frankly, often tragic dynamic that we call the security dilemma. Think about it. When one nation tries to make itself feel more secure, say by building up its military, it almost always makes its neighbors feel less secure.
And this brilliantly illustrates our own reality. Just consider our region. When India acquires advanced military technology, Pakistan perceives this as a direct threat to strategic stability. And, naturally, we must respond to maintain that stability. Our response, however, is then perceived as a threat in New Delhi, which, well, it just fuels another round of military acquisitions. This dynamic, this action and reaction cycle born directly from the security dilemma, has defined South Asian security for over 70 years.
Okay, so now that we've established the nature of the system, let's broaden our lens. Let's look at the full cast of actors and the key arenas of competition and cooperation that define the scope of international relations today.
You see, traditionally, IR focused almost exclusively on states. But the world stage today is, well, it's crowded. While states are still the primary actors, of course, we now have hugely influential non-state actors. Think about it. From the IMF shaping our economic policies to terrorist groups like the TTP directly challenging our national security, they all profoundly impact our fortunes.
This brings us to another crucial point. You absolutely cannot separate politics from economics on the world stage. Economic strength is the very foundation of national power. The field that studies this is called International Political Economic, or IPE.
And the ultimate example of IPE in our region today is, without a doubt, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, CPEC. But remember, CPEC is not just some isolated project. It is the flagship initiative of China's much, much broader vision, the Belt and Road Initiative.
For China, CPEC is all about geoeconomics. It's about securing a vital, shorter energy corridor to the Persian Gulf, one that avoids the strategic vulnerability of the Malacca Strait. For us, for Pakistan, it represents a monumental effort to drive our own economic development and hopefully to reshape the entire geoeconomic map of the region.
This focus on economics leads us to another critical expansion in the scope of IR. The very concept of what security means is changing. It's no longer just about tanks, missiles, and defending borders. Today, we face a whole host of what we call non-traditional security threats.
In fact, our own national security policy of 2022 correctly identifies this paradigm shift. It explicitly places economic security at the core of our national security. So today, things like disputes over hydroelectric projects on the Chenab under the Indus Waters Treaty, or the ongoing fight against terrorism. These are as critical to our survival as conventional military readiness.
So, to recap, we've seen that IR is fundamentally about power and the pursuit of national interest in a world without a ruler, but its scope is expanded far beyond just military strategy to include economics, climate, and so much more.
For Pakistan, understanding these fundamentals isn't optional. It is absolutely essential. It is the only way to navigate the incredibly complex strategic environment we find ourselves in, caught, as this quote aptly suggests, between the competing interests of great powers.
Your task as the next generation of Pakistan's thinkers, our diplomats, and our leaders is to master these concepts, because you will be the ones called upon to balance our critical relationships, to manage regional threats, and to help guide our nation's crucial pivot towards a future secured by economic strength.
Before we meet for our next lecture, I want to leave you with 3 critical questions. And listen, I don't want simple answers. I want you to think deeply about the immense challenges they represent.
First, I want you to consider our most pressing diplomatic challenge. How do we balance these two vital relationships without being forced into a choice that would be, without question, detrimental to our national interest?
Second, think about the future of our national security beyond the traditional military threats. Is it going to be water scarcity, climate change, cyber warfare? What is it that we must prepare for right now?
And finally, a fundamental question about the system itself. Can we truly place our faith in institutions like the UN to protect us? Or does the cold, hard logic of anarchy mean that in the end, Pakistan can only and must only rely on itself? These are the questions that will define our future. Think on them.